everybody, I'm Yu-Gi-Oh! Deckmaster, and it's time for another deck special!
Hello everybody, my name is Jason Lee. I'm here to bring you another deck idea. This idea is something I've come up with. I want to say it was back in 2014, 15. I'm probably off somewhere in there. Y'all will know the correct year. But the deck HAT ran around. For those of you who don't know what HAT is, it's an acronym for... An acronym is several archetypes mixed into one, and you take the first letter of each to kind of make a word out of it. So each letter represents an archetype. HAT was hands, artifacts, Traptrix. Artifacts, the concept of them is they can be set in your spell and trap card zone, and if they are destroyed by an opponent's card, well, destroyed period, they special summon themselves, and if they're special summoned on the opponent's turn, they do something. Traptrix are all about searching out trap hole cards. When they're summoned, they have a link monster that can do it. They're all about the trap holes. That's a trap-based deck with them. And at the time, hands were monsters that if they were destroyed by card effects, would summon out another one and do something. Well, card effects were a battle. Ice Hand, if destroyed, would pop a back row, then summon Fire Hand, who, if destroyed, would summon Ice Hand, and they could keep summoning each other, not a hard once per turn in any way. A Fire Hand would pop a monster, and the goal would be you'd summon a hand, ram it into something strong, and then summon, it die, pop a card, summon out another hand, ram it in, pop a card, pop a card, pop a card, and you just keep doing that until your opponent's field is clear. The problem is hands are too fucking slow nowadays. Artifacts is good. They have plenty of good cards. Traptrix, trap decks, if you got the right traps, are great. But it needed a new engine. So I came up with an idea. And I want to show you what that idea is. I call this deck T.A.G. It stands for Traptrix Artifact Generators. I hope you like, and if so, please comment and subscribe and let me know what you think down below. And with that said, let's get on with the deck special. Alright, let's start with the deck, shall we? We're going to start off with the Traptrix engine. We got, of course, 3 Traptrix Mantis. They're all Earth, and they're either insect or plant. They're all level 4, and they all have the effect that they're unaffected by whole, normal trap cards. This mostly revolves around trap holes, but also a card called White Hole they're unaffected by, which is kind of weird. It wouldn't affect them anyway. It's meant for Dark Hole negation, but nobody's going to play that card, so you ain't going to have to worry. So she is, as I said, a level 4 insect, 1600 attack, 1200 defense. When she's normal summoned, she can add a whole normal trap card from your deck to your hand. So she can actually get you that white hole card if you wanted. It doesn't have to be a trap hole card. It just has to be a whole normal trap. So keep that in mind. From your deck to your hand. And when she's special summoned, she can target a spell or trap on the field that the opponent controls and pop it. Now, the cool part is this is a mandatory effect that will attempt to activate regardless if your opponent has a back row on the field, which will mandatorily trigger. And that is useful for your link monster. Whether they have it or not, her triggering her, or attempting to trigger her effect to the best of her ability, will allow your link monster to go off, and that is what makes her useful at 3. Then we have 3 Mantis. Traptrix Mantis is a level 4, 1500 attack, 1300 defense. Earth, as I said, unaffected by, she's unaffected by whole normal traps. When she is normal summoned, she's your Stratus of the deck. She adds a Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand. She can add a copy of herself, she can add Mermelio, or the next one to hand. And then she does have a quick effect that allows you to target a set spell or trap, return it to the hand, and then if you have a spell or trap in hand, including the one you just returned, you can set it to the field. This last effect is optional. Do keep that in mind. So if you have her on the field, and your opponent, say, plays Evenly Match or Lightning Storm, you can bounce one of your back row back to hand and choose not to set it. If you do so, you could save that back row. This probably won't come up very often, but it is an option you can do. Is it great? Her normal summon effect is good. Her secondary effect is Then we start off with 2 Traptrix Dianea. You can run 3, but it takes a little setup to really get her effect off. Her first effect is the main effect you're going for, so I choose to run 2 to keep the normal summon count down to 8 instead of 9. 8's already high, you'd rather run 6, so you could cut Mantis down to 2 if you wanted to, but you really need to see a Traptrix in your opening hand, so you kind of risk the chance of over-opening running 8. But it's kind of worth it too. So play that as you will. She's a level 4, 1700 attack, 1100 defense. She's unaffected by whole normal traps, of course. When she's normal summoned, she can target a Traptrix in the grave, special summon it in defense position. Their effects are not negated, so you can activate it. Therefore, Myrmelio will pop a back row, or Mantis can spin a back row back to, bounce a back row back to hand and set one. Okay. And when she's special summoned, this is the she has the ability to target a whole normal trap card in the grave. Could be a trap hole, could be white hole, could be whatever. As long as it's a whole normal trap in the grave, set it to your field, but it's banished during the end of the next turn. If it's still on the field. And of course, all of them, you can only use each effect once per turn. Now the issue with her is, most of the time you're going to special summon her off the link. Well, you do that during your opponent's turn, so you're setting a trap hole, and it won't, since it can't be used on the turn to set, it won't be viable till your turn. Unless they plan on summoning Phantasme or Gores for some random, odd fucking reason, that effect, the trap's just going to get banished. I mean, maybe, but in most cases or not, her second effect is utterly fucking useless. But use it if you must. Then, of course, we run the 3 targets for Myrmelio to search, or on rare occasions, Dianea to reset back. We first, of course, run Time Space Trap Hole, which when activated, and can only be activated when your opponent special summons a monster from hand or the extra deck, but it is plural monster or monsters. It'll bounce all of them back, or should I say spin all of them back to either the extra or the deck, and you lose 1,000 for each. Spinning is really good. It prevents them from going to the graveyard, puts them back, makes your opponent waste all the costs they put into making the monster, and just you got to redo it. While at the same time, I run 1 Bottomless Trap Hole. Now, Bottomless Trap Hole here has the unique effect of any monster that's summoned, normal, special, or flipped, 1,500 or more attack, it destroys those monsters and then banishes them. Now, downfall, Floodgate Trap Hole would be better. It will do the same thing, except any monster that's normal, flipped, or special, doesn't matter their attack points, it'll flip them face down and they can't change their battle mode. But I don't have that in real life, and I don't have the money right now to get it. Bottomless I do have, and it works basically the same, except the only real downfall, too, is that it has a 1,500 or more attack point procedure, and it has to destroy before it banishes, so if they're immune to destruction, nothing's happening. And then lastly, of course, you got Gravediggers Trap Hole, the newest trap hole to come out. One of the best. You can run multiples of any of these if you want, but I just like 3 trap holes, and I like them to be each different. Gravedigger has the unique effect of basically being called by the grave in here. When your opponent would activate a monster effect in the hand, grave, or banish zone, you negate the effect and then inflict 2,000 burn. This effect is really good, and this is one that you could actually bring back with Dianea, actually. So I actually forgot about this one. This would actually be a good one to bring back with Dianea's effect, so that you could kind of go off on your turn, and if they try to Nibiru you, Ash you, Crow you, whatever, you actually have a counter. So, okay, I make a valid counter offer to Dianea's second effect. And then I run 3 Traptrix technically not a trap hole, so cannot be searched by Mermelio or set by, Dionea. But it has the girls in the artwork, and some goblins, and a knight, basically trying to rape some lollies. I don't know what's going on there. It's some kind of lolly hentai thing going on there. I'm not getting into it. But it is the best trap in the deck and makes the deck so playable. You're probably wondering, if you don't know, what it does is it allows you to banish a normal trap from your deck, except a copy of itself, and then set one card with the same name as the one you banished from the deck. And also, it can be activated this turn. But you're restricted to only one more trap activation this turn. And you can only activate one Traptrix per turn. What that means is, say for example, I have a trap that I run in 3. I'll banish one copy, set another. And now I can activate that copy I just set to basically do whatever. Now granted, I can only activate one more trap card that turn, and that's it. So you want to make sure to use up all your other traps before using it, or only use that if it's to get a key card from your deck. But it basically lets you search any trap you need, and that right there makes it priceless. Now let's move on to the artifact engine. We got to add that A in. We got, of course, one artifact scythe. Boy in the hood! Artifact scythe. All artifacts are fairy, and they're light, and they are level 5. This one is 2200 attack, 900 defense. They all have the effect that you can set them, you can set the card from your hand in the spell or trap card zone as a spell card. And then during your opponent's turn, if the set card in your spell or trap card zone is destroyed and sent to the grave, basically if you MST'd it or something, it'll special summon itself. And if they're special summoned during your opponent's turn from anywhere, they do stuff. Okay? So, what does Scythe do when he's special summoned during the opponent's turn? Well, he basically looks at your opponent and says, no, the extra deck is not allowed to be played with. You cannot access it at all this turn. And it makes a lingering effect that prevents your opponent from going into their extra deck for the remainder of the turn, which gives you a free turn to kick their ass. I then run one artifact Moraltac, I think it's how it's pronounced. Same concept, spell or trap card zone, gets popped summon on opponent's turn. What can it do? Pops one face-up card your opponent controls. So this is really good because it allows you just to take out any threat you want, just pop it right off the bat, which is really, really useful at getting rid of situational problems that you don't know how to get rid of normally. And then we talk about the best card in the artifact engine, of course. We got Artifact Sanctum. The only reason to play this damn engine in the first place. Artifact Sanctum has the unique effect of special summoning one artifact monster from your deck, and you of course can only activate one Artifact Sanctum per turn. You can't conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card, but you're going to be summoning it on your opponent's turn anyway. The goal is you set this trap, or get it through Traptrix, summon an artifact on your opponent's turn, their effect triggers, you either pop a card, lock them out of their extra deck, whatever the case may be, and the whole battle phase bullshit don't affect you because it's not your turn, you're not attacking, who gives a shit? And if your opponent gets cheeky and goes, I popped that son of a bitch while you control it, well, if this card would be destroyed by an opponent's card effect while it's in your possession, you can target a card on the field and blow it up. So this card does come with a little gotcha bitch combo. Then we of course move on to the G's. We got the Generaiders, man. Generators are like the Final Fantasy boss monsters. You're in that role-playing game, you made it to the big stage, and boss music hits. It's time to battle. The first boss you have to face is Har, Generator Boss of Storm. He's a level 9, 3000 attack, 3000 defense, dark spellcaster. Of course, you can only control one generator boss at a time, because if you could control more of each, that would sort of defeat the iconic aspect. So only one Har on the field at a time. What does he do? Well, once per turn, if your opponent adds a card or cards from the deck to their hand, you can make them, and this is of course except during the draw phase, and is a quick effect, you can make your opponent send one monster from their hand or field to the grave. Sadly, it is their choice, But, you know, they go, haha, I got advantage. I'll add this card from my deck. And you go, no, you may add that card, but now you have to get rid of a card. So that +1 you got has just become even. You're breaking even now. And if that was it, that would suck. But no, he does one more thing. When your opponent would activate a card, anything, monster, spell, trap, whatever, any kind of effect, you contribute either 2 generators, a spellcaster and a generator, or 2 spellcasters, and negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. It's a fucking omni-negate, man. Negates anything, blows it up. Of course, you can only activate his effect once per turn, but that's all you need. You just say no. Then, of course, well, next boss battle, you got NITE, Generator Boss of Ice. It's gotten cold in here, and a giant worm-like dragon has just flown over your head. Of course, there's only one NITE in the room. What does he do? Well, he's 2100 attack, 2600 defense. He's a water worm, level 9, of course. And when your opponent would special summon a monster, inherent summon, or monsters, so Pendulum, Link, Exceed, Synchro, Contact Fusion, etc., you contribute either 1 generator or 1 worm, including himself you can if you want, to negate the summon, and if you do, destroy those monsters. But, of course, NITE can only activate this magical power once per turn. But still, negating a summon? Holy shit, Batman! That's impressive. But you're sitting there wondering, how the fuck do you get these level 9s on the field? Do you have to tribute them out? Not exactly. You have Generator Boss Stage, the ultimate battleground. This is the room you accidentally stumbled into. Well, what does it do? Well, once per turn, if a card or cards is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, except during the damage step, this includes during the draw phase if they draw a card, which is mandatory, you can special summon 1 generator monster from your deck in defense position, aka Har or NITE. Whoo! Right from your deck! Holy shit! And if you summon a generator monster during your opponent's turn, well, except during the damage step, you can special summon as many generator tokens, fairy, light, level 4, 1500 attack, 1500 defense, as possible in attack position, but destroy them during the end phase. And they stay on the field even if this card leaves the field, but they're still destroyed during the end phase. You can only use the effect that summons tokens of Generator Boss Stage once per turn. But you can summon a monster from Generator Boss Stage as many times as you can play Boss Stage and then adding a card from deck to hand. Holy crap! But I'm only running 1 Boss Stage. How the hell do I get to this card? That's where the power of Generate Boss Fight comes in. Boss Fight is the most powerfulest card in this deck, at least for the archetype. It lets you activate a generator field spell directly from your deck or graveyard. But your opponent gets to draw 1 card after. And sadly, you can only activate 1 per turn. Now I know you're thinking, but you're allowing your opponent to draw a card. Yes, but I said after the field spell's in play. The field spell will look right at your opponent and go, oh, you added a card from your deck to your hand. Well, let me summon this big beefy monster from my deck and some tokens. So they get to draw a card, but you get a monster with either an omni-negate or an inherent negate. It's kind of a fair trade-off. Then for this final, just support cards, I guess you can say, the supporting role of the deck, non-tag related, but helps the engine run. I run 2 Parallel Exceed. I would run 3, but I already run enough brick draws as there is, with, you draw into the generators or the artifacts, or too many of the, the boss fights or the artifact sanctums, and it's like, crap, I got too many cards I can't use. So running 3 of this was just too bricky, but running 2, you're most likely only going to draw into 1, leaving 1 in deck, getting the other one right out. So what does it do? Well, very simple. If you link summon, you can special summon this card from your hand to the zone that link monster points to. Just so happens, all the Traptrix can become a link 1 with a downward arrow. Summon this fucker right out, and when he's summoned, he doesn't like being on the field alone. So he'll special summon a copy of himself right from the deck to the field. Not to an arrow, just anywhere on the field. And they do have a drawback, though. Whenever they're special summoned by this effect, both of them become level 4s, and their attack and defense is halved from 2,000, 2,000 to 1,000, 1,000. Holy crap, you go from rank 8 options to rank 4? Oh my god, what could you make? I'm not sure why this card isn't here. Double or nothing? I don't know. Wonder what that card's used for. Then we run 3 Paleozoic Dinomischus. The best Paleozoic card, hands down. I tried originally going tap with Paleozoic as the main focus, but honestly put, most of the Paleozoics are subpar. The Frog Engine would help, but there's just not room for it. So this is the best one, and it's good even without them. So I just went with him. What does he do? Well, he's a normal trap that can target one face-up card on the field. Then you discard one card. Trust me, you will run into plenty of extra cards you can't play. Discard one card and banish that card. So you basically target a card and banish it. Send it to the outer realm, where it shall not return. But that's not all. See, while it's in the graveyard, it's swarming around and figuring out little combos. If you activate a trap, besides a counter, right as you activate that trap, it jumps from the grave to the field and becomes a monster. Once per chain, it can special summon itself as an Aqua Water Level 2, attack 1200 and defense 0. And it's no longer treated as a trap, it becomes a normal monster, and it's unaffected by monster effects, but it is banished when it leaves the field. But link material / punch you in the face is always possible. Then we run 2 Lost Winds. Don't go into the forest. Lost Wind is basically an impermanence replacement because I'm broke and can't afford infinite impermanent. If you want to give me infinite impermanence, I will take it, but I cannot afford it. So what does Lost Wind do? Well, it's very simple. You can target a face-up monster on the field that's been special summoned, negate its effects, and also its original attack is halved. And if a monster is special summoned from the extra deck, while it's in the graveyard, opponent's monster might I add, while it's in the graveyard, you can set this card to the field, but banish it when it leaves the field. So each copy can get 2 uses. So you just use it, negate, goes to the grave, they extra deck something, you bring it back and use it again. And because there's 2 copies, Traptrix can search it out. You just, of course, will banish one a little early, but you will still get 2 uses out of the one you brought. I mean, you're focusing on normal traps. Why the fuck wouldn't you play this? It's compulsory evacuation device. I mean, come on. You're bouncing a monster back to the hand or an extra deck monster back to the extra deck. I mean, duh. Triple Shades of Brigadoon. What does this do, you may ask? Well, it summons a monster. Well, the trap itself becomes a monster, a warrior, dark, level 4, 0 attack and 300 defense, and it's no longer treated as a trap when this happens. But you're thinking, okay, that's cute, but you already got the Paleozoic doing that, so why is that useful? And it does have a once per turn clause, so it's alright. Well, it's useful because the turn it's set, if you have no traps in your grave, you can activate it. Why is this useful? Because if you have the link on the field, the turn you set this and activate this, you can get a rank 4 out on top of it. And that makes some really cool plays. Plus, later on, it can be used as link material or other rank 4s. You know, you only run 8 level 4s in the deck, so this allows for another, 3? And gives you some rank 4 options. And yeah, I know, it's God. Okay, not a normal, can't be searched, but you know you gotta run it. he passes judgment on everything and basically says no. He protects your shit and says fuck you to everything. So you're gonna run him. It's literally the best counter trap that's ever existed and probably ever will exist. I don't see this card ever being, outclassed. Not really in the long run. I just don't see it. If you do, please comment below and tell me what you think outclasses this card. And I mean can stop summons, stop spells, stop traps. It stops it all. What outclasses this? Because I got nothing. You're going second. Well, shit, your opponent's building a board. What the fuck are you going to play? Oh, yeah, that's right. You have this rock in your hand. Hey, buddy, you've summoned 5 times. Nibiru! Smash! Smash their field. Summon a rock. Give them a token. Most likely it'll have 0 or very weak defense, and you just beat over it. Why wouldn't you play triple of this motherfucker? I mean, come on. Normal trap. Normal trap. It is searchable. Highly doubt you will very often. But it does allow you to activate it from the hand and basically banish every card your opponent controls except one face down. I mean, if you're going second, you kind of gotta. I mean, right? You gotta take away all their advantage, set your traps, and say, come at me, bro. You're gonna lose. Or cis, hey. No gender stereotyping here. I face girls too, and I will beat their ass just the same. Figured I wanted to throw a few swaps in the side. Sometimes, if you're going against a stall deck, an inherent summon negator like NITE just isn't enough. So I decided to put in the castle. So, you're in the dungeon. You're stumbling around and you find out the castle you're in's alive and it's trying to kill you. You're an Ugarda, the generator boss of delusion. Now, Ugarda gives you the ability, besides you can only control one, he's a 2200, 2700 defense, light rock, level 9 of course, that has the ability to tribute 2 generators, a rock and a generator, or 2 rocks, and then target 1 card on the field and banish it. And it's a quick effect, so he can do it whenever the fuck he wants. And with the generator stage, you're making tokens. So you just sit there and go, yeah, I don't like that card. Tribute, banish. You don't get to keep it. And in most cases, if you're banishing the right card, and keep in mind, it's not face up, not face down, it's a card. So anything that you don't want to deal with, goodbye. And, yeah, true. You're only going to get Har and Ugarda's effect kind of on the turn they're summoned with the tokens, because keeping the advantage is a little difficult, while NITE can always tribute himself to negate a summon, so do keep that in mind. You'll probably only get 1 use out of them, maybe 2, but if you make it count, that's all you need. What's an artifact deck without triple Lancia? Your opponent likes to banish. I don't like them banishing, because when they banish, they get advantage. I don't want them getting advantage. Screw that. So what does Lancia do? Well, besides the setting as a spell card and all that stuff, you can either tribute him as from your hand or from the field if he's on your during your opponent's turn, if he's on the field. Anyway, or from your hand, 1700 attack, 2300 defense, light fairy. And if you do, a lingering effect of no banishing for the turn for neither player. So neither of us can banish. Now, really cool effect for this is with Lost Wind. Now see, a little trick you can do is if you brought Lost Wind back, you could activate this and then Lost Wind. And because Lost Wind cannot be banished, I believe, mechanically, it's going to go to the grave. Which means if they go back to the extra deck, you can set it again. Could give you a triple use. It ain't going to come up all that often, but, I mean, it's something, right? Though I do believe Bottomless Trap Hole Says a monster, let's see, destroy that monster or more, and if you do. So it would just destroy the monster, it wouldn't banish. So do keep that in mind. You are hindered a little, but your opponent will be hindered a hell of a lot more. And then we got, of course, 2, Waking the Dragon. Of course, with Traptrix, you're able to search this card right from the deck, which is awesome. You're going to set this card, and when you know your opponent's about to blow out your whole back row, sadly not with Evenly, you can easily activate Traptrix, search this card from the deck, it gets blown out, and you summon the 1 extra deck monster we'll get into in a bit, but y'all know what it is. And of course, this kind of makes it awesome. Or, of course, if you draw into it, you can set it and, they got to kind of deal with it. This card is powerful and searchable in this build. And lastly, you're facing not extra deck, but back row decks. So you got to kind of deal with being able to take out some back row. And sadly, Traptrix don't got a card that can pop it. So, Heavy Storm Duster is the best option you got. You get to target up to 2 spell and traps on the field and destroy them. You're going to do this on your opponent's turn so that you cannot conduct your battle phase. Bullshit won't affect you. But you pop 2 of your opponent's cards and say, well, you tried. Not good enough. Now onto the extra. Hey, we run a total of 3 Generators. If the field spell stays out or gets sent to the grave and you activate another boss rush, or boss fight, should I say, you could get both out. And if both happen to stay out while this card's legal, why not go into True King of All Calamities? It pretty much is an auto win against most decks. Now, if it gets banned, of course, you can replace this with a myriad of level 9s, rank 9s. But for now, why not go with the best while you have the option? Then, of course, we have Utopia and Utopia Double. I believe these 2 can do some kind of OKT or something? I don't know. It does something where you win the game. I don't know. Pretty sure you all can figure it out. And then, of course, we have Tornado Dragon for back row. Pop, 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 detach, pop, 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 detach, pop, pop, pop. Opponent's turn, your turn, doesn't matter, quick effect, pop, pop, pop. Always awesome. Really? Of course. You get those graveyards, shut them off. You don't care. What do you got that really does anything in the graveyard? I don't think you got anything. So, yeah. This card is flipping amazing. Always summon in defense, though. He's really weak. Okay, the way this card works, number 60, Durgus, the Timeless. The way it works, very simple. He has 1200 attack, 1200 defense. He is a Fiend Fire type. Now, you can detach 2 material, activate one of the following effects. Each does have a drawback, though. You can skip your next draw phase, but if you do, you can draw 2, then discard 1. Pot agreed, even though you do got to discard 1. If you don't draw enough traps, but you have a way to go into him, you can detach 2, draw 2 cards, possibly get some traps, discard something, set some traps. It allows you to at least set up a decent field. Helps you get to your combos of either the artifact or the generator cards, which is really good. Or if you need to go for that OTK, you can skip your battle phase to the next turn, target a monster you control, like, say, a generator, and double that monster's attack until the end of the turn. Boom. Punch big. As Divinator would say, big Namba. Now, you do also have the effect of skipping your next main phase 1 to special summon a monster from the grave in defense mode, but I don't really use that effect all that much. You can only use 1 effect of Durgus once per turn. Now, I say the battle and the draw effect are the best, and they're definitely worth running. If you can make her going first, she basically gives you an extra trap hole effect. And she's part of the archetype, for God's sake. Traptrix Rafflesia, a plant, earth, 300 attack, 2500 defense. She takes any 2 level 4s. She's unaffected by the effects of trap cards while she has materials. Traptrix monsters you control, except herself, cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect, and they cannot be targeted except for her. So your Link monster and any Traptrix you summon are completely safe on the field while she's out. So this is a good way to keep your Link alive, which is really, really useful. And once per turn, you can detach a material and send one whole normal trap card that meets its activation condition from your deck to the grave, and this card's effect becomes that card's activated effect. aka meaning, if she's on the field, you can detach a material if your opponent, say, would activate a card from a monster effect from their hand, grave, or banish zone, sing Gravedigger Trap hole, negate, inflict 2,000 burn. Or if they were to special summon a monster from their hand or extra, activate Timeless, bounce, and pay 1,000. Or special summon something, activate Bottomless, destroy, and banish. Basically like that. She becomes whatever trap hole you need. And when you can get your Link and her on the field together, you're kind of golden. And of course this guy's in here. Why wouldn't he be? I mean, come on. You get him out with Waking the Dragon. It just basically says, win the game. Don't you see it? It's in his card text. Win the game. Right there. There it is. Right there. You want to end the game as quick as possible. Boral Sword helps you do that. You'd be surprised how quick you can spam monsters on the field by turn 3. You go, your opponent goes, you go. If you got a decent hand, you can actually get like 3-4 monsters on the field, sometimes 4. And if you are able to get 4, a decent amount, you can go for this. The can't be destroyed by battle, Quick effect is the useful part because you want to turn something to defense so you can attack twice. And this is pretty fucking amazing. It allows you to OTK. It's the Nightmare package. You're going to run it. Unicorn spends a card, and you have a lot of dead cards. Extra Sanctums, extra boss fights, some artifacts maybe. You could set them. You could chance your opponent destroying them, but you don't really have a way. Possibly some extra generators in hand, though sometimes if you have enough, I would tribute for them if it can get you a VFD on the field. That's always an auto win in a lot of cases. Some extra monsters. You'll always have something you can probably discard, and if you don't have a Dynamiscus, spinning a card with a Unicorn, popping a back row with Phoenix, or popping a special summon monster with Cerberus is always a possible and sometimes a very wise option to do. Shades of Brigadoon and Dynamiscus. Sometimes you need an effect monster. Enough said. MVP of the extra deck, Traptrix Sarah, the cute lolly that I swear looks like she's fingering herself. Look at where her hand is and look at her face. Her hand is in her crotch area and her face looks like she has the orgasmic face. Kid you not. I swear that is very perverted the way they did the artwork. But I digress. She has a downward pointing arrow. She's a Link one that takes any Traptrix, non-Link. So, any of them. Even Rafflesia can be used if you want her to. The Link summon card is unaffected by trap cards, so no imperming her, I'm afraid. Oh well. You can, but cool part is you can actually use your own traps on her to trigger her effects, and it won't do anything to her, which is kind of cool. But you'll still get her effects off if you're in a tight spot and need to do that. She has 2 effects, and you can do each once per turn, just not during the damage step. If a normal trap card is activated, you can special summon 1 Traptrix monster from your main deck with a different name than the cards you control. So if you don't have Murmello on the field, you can summon Murmello from the deck, pop a back row. If you have Murmello, you could summon, say, a Dionea and set Gravedigger Trap hole. Or summon, Mantis, and if you choose to, target a back row and spin it. Or, well, not spin it, but bounce it back to hand and set another one, or whatever. And if another Traptrix besides herself activates a monster effect, this is her second effect, you can set a whole normal trap directly from your deck to your field. Keep in mind this is set to the field, so Ash Blossom cannot negate this. And this basically gives you a free trap hole. I wish it could be activated that turn, but it can't. But, oh well, you basically get a free trap hole. Okay, cool. and her and Shades of Brigadoon. You can see how it works. You go into her, activate Shade. Shade's a normal trap. Shade becomes a level 4 monster. You summon a Traptrix. If you summon Remelio, even if your opponent doesn't have a back row, you're going to attempt to destroy something. You can't because they have nothing. You'll set a whole card from your deck, basically replacing where Shades would have been, and then exceed into, say, Rafflesia, Baguska, something. And that right there is a 2-card combo with a Trap Hole, basically another Trap Hole if you go into Rafflesia, and back row. So, it's pretty fucking good. So that's how the deck works. I hope you like it. And if so, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And until next time, please be safe. Keep your loved ones close. And peace out. Rock on.